Hey everyone, it's Bob Perkins with Inside Sales Studio, bringing you a special episode and an interview on artificial intelligence. With us today, we have Stefan Groschupf. Stefan, how are you doing?
Good. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Stefan is the founder and CEO of SalesHero. They're a supporter of the association, the aa-isp. And this whole thing, Stefan, on artificial intelligence is coming on so strong, and it's just not a new technology. It's something that potentially can change the way we sell, how we sell, and I think it's going to help us sell better, and I think it's going to actually help the profession of sales grow, right? A lot of people think, oh, AI, robots are going to take over selling, maybe pieces of it, but I think it's going to help us. So it's great to have you. And I'd like to ask you some questions about this. You're an expert in the AI field. I know SalesHero, your company, has a product which we'll talk a little bit about near the end of the show. But MarTech, the whole MarTech landscape, it's grown, it's surged in the last few years. What's the current state of the sales tech landscape, and what direction is it headed?
Yeah, look, I think there will be a very similar development in the sales tech landscape as happened in the last decade in marketing technology, really, right? Where we went from more kind of a gut feel to a very data-driven approach and a lot of tools about that. I think what is critical, though, is that we recognize that our sales reps are already extremely busy with all the tools that they have to maintain, right? An average seller is using 4.5 tools on a day-to-day basis. And it's really important to understand that our sellers are basically extroverts. If you look at their personality profile, like a Myers-Briggs, we hired these folks because they're incredible good in building relationships with our customers, in talking and pitching the product, making them kind of like data entry robots, and yelling at them if it isn't in Salesforce, it didn't happen. I think it's not the right approach. So on the one hand side, it is very, very exciting about the innovations in the sales technology space. However, again, I think we need to recognize that here we're really working with a different kind of target audience. And instead of making their life more difficult and distract them even more from spending time with customers, what they only now spend 37% of their time with, we need to really look into, can technology simplify their life? Can we give them more time talking to customers?
Yes.
And to be honest, nobody likes to talk to a robot. I mean, if I call my bank, I really don't like it. So I think the key here really is how can we support our people to spend more time with their customers.
You mentioned helping them enter information into a CRM. Well, who wouldn't love to not have to do a CRM? The best salespeople avoid it. Thinking about AI for sales, what do you think are realistic or maybe unrealistic expectations of what AI can do for selling?
Yeah, so even though there are incredible innovations in the AI space, and maybe some of the listeners have Google Home or Alexa or using Siri extensively, there's an incredible accelerated wave of innovations here. I think we'll all have to stay realistic. Sales reps will not be replaced by AI. And again, as I just mentioned, I really personally don't like interacting with a robot on the phone or even per email. And I think there's a bigger opportunity to take away these pesky tasks that sales reps have to do every day, as you just said, updating Salesforce, rather than making these AI algorithms customer facing. There might be something in 10, 20 years from now that is good enough to do this. But at this point, I think the real opportunity is to help our sales reps with the mundane task, or again, help them to make the right decision rather than, replacing kind of the human touch with robots at this point.
Listen, I was at a conference last week and I spoke on rehumanizing selling.
That's
excellent. I think that AI can help us do that. I think we've gotten away from the human to human piece, partly because of all this other stuff we got to do. So I would agree with you. What are you some examples of some of the technology that you're seeing emerging relative to AI.
Yeah. So again, also careful, right? Because now every company, AI is a new buzzword, right? Like 5 years ago, you put big data everywhere, and 5 years before that, you put social or mobile everywhere. So you have to be careful. Not every company that just does a little bit of data analytics is AI. So for me, really, artificial intelligence in the way that's really coming up now is this concept of deep learning, where we're using massive amount of data storage and compute to simulate the human brain, where we have neural networks that are stacked on top of each other. Let me not go too much into detail, but that's kind of like, again, that's real AI, and then there's a bunch of Me Too buzzwords, and I actually just do a database query kind of AI. What's really exciting there is the capabilities around natural language understanding. I really be able to understand an intent of an email, and then maybe help scheduling a meeting, or being able to understand language and understand, oh, this is a phone number, this is a job title, this is the address, and then we can extract it straight out of the email and automatically update the CRM system, because who likes to copy paste that over, right? Copy, switch, paste, nobody. So capabilities are really, really interesting in kind of automating certain processes. But then also what's really fascinating about this deep learning technology is that you can make fantastic recommendations, right? It requires enough data, but helping you to understand which customers at the right point at the buying cycle, really picking them up at the right journey, and then also understanding which product might be most relevant. These are all things when you bring in maybe online behavior, CRM data, and also kind of historical success of sales rep, that then AI can very accurately predict, and who wouldn't love to call a customer that is at the right time, ready to buy, and just ready to send the order over. So AI can help us to be more precise and augment our intelligence.
It's interesting, like I said before, the growth potential, when you think of marketing automation, it helped grow, in a sense, the whole SDR, BDR role. We added salespeople because we were getting more leads. I think if AI can get us better leads, I think, again, we'll have the need for more salespeople. Much like the computer in the 80s, people thought it was going to replace people. It spawned a whole new revolution of IT and a lot more jobs. So let's talk about implementing AI. What are some of the challenges that a leader might face if they're going to go implement?
Look, it's not necessarily as much the technology challenges, but the change management challenges, right? It's really important that you bring your folks along. AI is a scary topic. A lot of people are afraid they will be replaced, and you perfectly just described kind of some of the mindset that people have. And it's really important to bring them very early in. So what we do, for example, is bring everybody into a room and then do a, first of all, use case discovery workshop. Here's what the technology can do. Where do you guys have the biggest pain, right? Instead of yet again, as a sales leader sitting in your ivory tower and make a decision, and I was that guy, right? I'm a techie. I had like 100 sales reps, and I showed up at the Monday forecast call, said like, hey, I bought this really cool tool. It will make you more productive. And people just, rolled their eyes on me. So instead of kind of pushing tools from the top, that then, the perception is, oh, here's another tool that, is basically just observing me. It's like playing KGB so you can, be more informed what I do every second as I'm in my job. I think it's really important to turn this around and say, look, ladies and gentlemen, where are the challenges? How can we use this innovative technology to help you? Where do you have the most pain? So it's really about change management, bringing people along, overcome these fears, and then focus on high value use cases rather on what is like feels good for you as a sales leader, because sales leader loves their dashboards, but that's maybe not really what makes a difference.
I recall back in the early CRM days, we had to do change management there as well. So very similar to that. Okay, as we sort of wind down here and we talk about any success stories you've seen out in the field that might be able to help people watching this interview, sales leaders, marketing leaders, help them with thinking about implementing AI. Can you share any success stories or examples, and then any tips on how to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so many of these, right? So ping me if you want to know more. But maybe just as a headline, IDC predicts that until 2020, AI in combination with CM and sales in general will increase revenue by $1.1 trillion.
Wow.
So I just want to let that sit there. In the next 2 years, $1.1 trillion more revenue through AI. So look, I mean, there's a fantastic use cases that we saw. It starts from, very simply getting your CRM data quality up because you automating the CRM updates. That will, of course, then trigger better quality marketing automation, better forecasting, and so on. I mean, our product helps people to save an hour a day with kind of these pesky tasks. It's an hour a day more calling customers. This is an hour a day, more focusing on closing the deal. That has big impacts. We had customers where, they spend 30% of their time in the SDR space just scheduling meeting, right? It takes 4.5 emails to schedule meetings. And let's be honest, I mean, there's just two humans in between two machines. Yeah. So there's a calendar and there's a calendar, and then they have to, figure out if Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday works better. So that's all things that can be, helped and automated with. You don't want to automate away the human conversation about the product, right? But the other things, updates, scheduling, again, cross and upsell recommendation, best next step recommendations are all things that can be incredible valuable. And we're frequently seeing, tens of millions of ROI in larger sales organization and significant cost reduction as well as with the same amount of folks, you can just work so much more pipeline.
That's great. This has been fantastic information. I want to end, though, with learning a little bit more about SalesHero. I know you've attended aa-isp events. We've partnered together on many things, and we appreciate your support. But you just a minute ago, you mentioned saving quite a bit of time through the scheduling. Can you tell us specifically what SalesHero does to help a sales rep?
Yeah, look, I mean, just one step back, right? So I built a market leader on big data analytics company, raised $100 million in venture capital and got it from zero to market leader. But as a tech guy, I had to run a sales organization, and boy, that was really, really hard, right? So the idea of SalesHero really came from all the observation we had there. And what we're building here is a sales automation platform that, again, uses advanced artificial intelligence algorithms to automate most of these pesky tasks that sales reps don't like to do, right? 59% of sales reps' time is spent with administrational work. 37% of their time is only spent talking to customers, and that's our KPI. We want to bring up the time people spend with customers because the buying experience is the number one decision criteria these days, and we want to bring down that kind of pesky task. So we do a whole bunch of things, but in the end, really, our product is personified as a personal assistant we call Robin. So every sales rep now can have a personal assistant that helps scheduling the meeting with the customers, that does the CRM updates, that kind of helps you to make the right best next step or find the next best customer. And the beauty is that our system's continuously learning from the individual sales rep, not just the whole organization, but it's really personalized. What's critical, because the way Johnny sells is very different than the way Susan sells, right? So kind of broad systems don't work. So Robin learns from you, the seller, and really then helps you every day gets better, helping you with these things that you have to do, but they're not really driving revenue.
Listen, I wanna hire Robin. I need Robin. Okay, so we'll talk later about that. Well, Stefan, thanks so much for sharing this great information on AI. If you'd like to, what's the best way if somebody's seeing this interview to contact you or reach out to you?
Sure, just come to our website, saleshero.ai. Get in touch with us, follow us on LinkedIn. A lot of really interesting information there. And again, I think it's fast moving at this point. AI makes a very big competitive difference. So don't miss out there.
All right, sounds good. Stefan, thanks again. Viewers, thanks for joining us in another episode of Inside Sales Studio. This is Bob Perkins. Thanks for joining.